Okay, so I'm here to demonstrate for you exercises 1 through 10 on the snare drum or drum pad warm-up that was assigned for the percussionist with the long tone exercises. I have here a drum pad, a snare drum, and I'm also going to be putting the drum pad down on this table to show you the proper heights that you might want to use. All right, as you see, my drum pad is set up right around waist level, which gives my arms a very nice angle to play at. All right, as I move over, I used a couple of bleacher seats to stack these up. I don't have a drum pad stand, all right, but you can find some way to make it stand up. Moving over, I've got the snare drum on top of a bench, but because the bench would muffle the sound and actually make it sound as if the snares were off. Actually, I have an old laptop that served as a hard surface on top of the bench and under the snare drum. All right, and this is also an acceptable height. All right, somewhere between there and there would be an acceptable arm angle for you. All right, now this table down here, if I wanted to sit down and play, this would bring the snare more than halfway up my stomach, which is definitely too high. As you see, I have to have my arms way up here in order to play. So the snare drum on this table is not a good option, but it is a good option for the drum pad, all right, because that is a very realistic height for me to do what I need to do. So when you're setting yourselves up, you're going to want to make sure that you have your instruments at a proper height. That way you can properly do the technique that you want to have. All right, we're going to start with number 1. I am not using a metronome right now, just because I've pretty much used up a majority of my technology that I have available right now. I'm recording with my phone. I happen to be looking at the music on this iPad, so let's go with it. All right, here's number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's got a repeat sign on it, and in the instructions I asked to repeat everything a minimum of 4 times. And that's where that left me. All right, notice that I was playing 8th notes and my stick height was not way too high, and it was very consistent between the left and the right hand. Let's move on to number 2. Same rhythm, but now we're alternating. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. All right, that was number 2. Now we're going to move on to number 3. In order to make number 3 truly be 16th notes, we need to take the same exact tempo that we took before. So if this was our tempo, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now we're going to go in 16ths, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4. And that was number 3. Now we're going to move on to number 4, which can be done in 2 different ways. All right, the way it is listed here, it has you always starting your 4-note grouping with the right. You're welcome to do that. If you're a more experienced player, I would recommend alternating the starting hand for this exercise. First, I'll do number 4 the way it is written on the music here, and I'm going to move over to the snare now. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4. Now, as I was saying, alternating which hand we start with for the more experienced players, or if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, it would go like this: right, left, right, left, So that's number 4. Okay, number 5, this is going to be in 3/4, so you want to make sure that you're not adding an extra beat and turning it into a 4/4 exercise. I'll do it once on the drum pad and once on the snare drum with the repeats. And the first time I'll do it as written, starting with the right, and the second time I'll alternate my starting hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. I totally screwed that up. Ignore that. Number 5, starting again. 2, ready, and. All right, now I'm going to move over to the snare, and I'm going to alternate starting hands. Right, left, right, left, right, left, left. So that's number 5. Now number 6, again, we're going to play, it shows you always starting with the right. On the pad, I'll start with the right every time. When I move over to the snare, then I will alternate starting hands. Number 6. 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN. 2, 3, 4. Now on the snare, I'll alternate starting hands. 1, 2, 3 EN, 4. And those are all your single stroke exercises there, numbers 1 through 6. If you notice up to now, nothing has had anything to do with a roll. But the point of those was to develop good technique with your hands, stick heights, and bouncing, getting a good rebound off of the drum instead of hitting it and staying there, which sometimes we have a habit of doing. We want to make sure we're getting a good rebound stroke. So now we're going to move on to number 7. Number 7 is written as half notes, and they have the Z over it. The goal here is to play just one multiple bounce stroke for each note you see here. All right, so if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to do one multiple bounce stroke on beat 1, another on beat 3, and then on 1, and then on 3. All right, let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna move to the snare now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice the goal there is that the left and the right hand sound exactly the same, and we're getting lots of little bounces after the initial strike. We strike it once, and then we let the stick bounce over and over again by having that little space in between there. Number 7 is very similar, but now we are in quarter notes. All right, 8 rights and 8 lefts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now we're going to move on to number 9. Number 9 is probably the trickiest one because you're staying on the same hand for 8 in a row, but now you're doing eighth notes. So you might struggle at first with getting the stick to bounce the way you want it to at the speed you're doing this. All right, let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now again, that's the trickiest one. All right, if you struggle with that, that's not surprising. But hopefully it gets better every time that you do it, and it gets a little smoother. Now we're going to move on to number 10. Number 10 should be a lot easier than number 9 because you're alternating sticks now. And this is the closest thing that we're going to come to an actual roll at this point. All right, same tempo, alternating eighth notes with the multiple bounce stroke, alternating sticks. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now that was numbers 1 through 10. You can do them at a slower tempo if you need to. You can do them at a faster tempo if you need to. If you go faster, by the time it's all done, you might get it sounding like a full-out roll. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's what your goal is. Now, the last thing that I put on there for the more experienced players, if you want to, you can do a long roll going from slow to fast to slow. All right, I'm going to demonstrate that. Not going to be the best explanation of it because I'm not a percussionist, but I will do the best that I can. All right, so they call this open, close, open. When you start open, it's slow, and then you build up to closed, which is fast, and then you rallentando down to the open, slow version again. Check it out. Nice and slow, lots of time in between, and then you build up your tempo. Until eventually you're at your peak speed, and you stay there for a little while, and then you eventually slow it down. This one will sound like on a snare. And that is 1 through 10 on a drum pad or a snare drum, plus an open, close, open roll at the end. If you did this by yourself and it went really well, that whole thing should take you between 3 and 4 minutes, and you don't necessarily have to stop in between. All right? In fact, I'm going to go straight through it now, one time, without stopping. So you can see how quick the actual exercise can be as a good warm-up. Here we go, starting at number 1. 1, 2, ready, and. Repeat. 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 Go on to number 2. Repeat. 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 Go on to number 3. Repeat. 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 Number 4. Third time. Fourth time, number 5. Repeat. 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 Go 6. Repeat. Again. Again. Little break to turn the page. Move on to number 7. 2, ready, and 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 3. Repeat. Third time. This will seem like the longest part of the exercise. Fourth time. Number 8. Repeat. Repeat. Fourth time. Go to number 9. Repeat. 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 And next. This is number 10. Repeat. Third time. Fourth time. And that was the whole exercise. I hope you found that helpful. That should be a standard warm-up that you use each day as you start practicing at home and we start to try to build up our stamina and strength and chops and consistency and our rolls. Thank you very much.